May I kindly ask you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Jonathan Monaghan. I'm an artist. I live in Washington, D.C. And I have here on display 7 prints. It's from a series called Soft Power. And all of these prints reimagine historical portraits from the masters like Raphael or Bronzino, Leonardo, and I reimagine these historical portraits for the contemporary digital age. So these figures are composed of modern fabrics, bits of electronics, other elements from our consumer culture. And the series looks at our relationship to technology, it looks at our relationship to consumer culture, it looks at the effect that these things have on the human body and the human form. And they're funny, but they also have a serious component to them as well.
Is this a face mask?
Yeah, so all these figures are sort of robotic, they don't really have a body, but they have these elements that reference their physicality and their organic qualities, like face masks and things like that.
Yeah, I know them from the pandemic, the COVID-19
yes.
pandemic.
Yes, this series actually started before the pandemic, but as everybody was wearing masks, I sort of got influenced by that a little bit. And it's interesting the way we protect ourselves and things like that. So that's what I got interested in. But not all the creatures are wearing masks. Some of them just have these weird electronics and stuff like that. So my idea was like to reference the human figure, but without any sort of skin or without any direct elements of the human form in it.
I've never seen something like that before. Would you mind to tell me something about
Yeah, so this is based off of Raphael.
Soft Power
Yeah.
9?
Yeah, so this is based off a portrait by Raphael, the famous Italian Renaissance painter. And I took the same form and I created what you see here. So this figure doesn't have a body, you can see it's sort of hollow and empty inside. But it does have a figurative form, it has something that references the human form. It's sort of its eyes are looking at you and following you as you walk around the room. And the fabrics are very soft and there's a lot of detail. If you go up really close, you can see all sorts of threads and fabric, all that. And that all comes from, everything is designed by me in the computer in the virtual 3D space. So all of these are created using 3D software.
It looks hyper realistic.
Yeah,
I almost want to touch it to feel the textile, the structure.
But you can't because it's all virtual. It doesn't exist. It's all artificial, and that's the dialogue that I'm creating with these works.
Mm-hmm. And you've been to Berlin for the first time?
I've been to Berlin before, but this is my first big show in Berlin. So.
How do you like the city?
I think it's great. This is a very creative city. There's a lot of amazing things going on here, and so I'm very honored to be able to share my work here. So.
And is there a special thing that you like about Berlin, the art scene or something else?
Well, I think I love, especially with a series like this, I love showing in Europe and I love showing in European capitals because there's so much history and my work is a dialogue with art history and with the contemporary age. So I love coming to these cities that have such great collections and have such great museums, and so it's a real treat to show here.
And may I ask, what are the difference between the art scene in Washington D.C. and Berlin? Is there something to say about it?
Washington, you know.
Oh, really?
It's a city that has excellent museums. We have world-class museums, world-class art exhibitions, but it's also very small. There's a very small art community. I grew up in New York, which is also obviously a very big city, and there's a lot going on there as well. So I go back to New York a lot. But yeah, it's great. There's just different vibes, different artists here. But I think the art world is one big sort of global community, and it's great to see people that I know and to meet new people here. So.
And how did you experience, you personally, the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I was just at home making art, but it was tough on a lot of people. It was very tough because, I had many shows that were going on or that had to be canceled or that were postponed. And so it was very tough because, as an artist, you make art, which you could do anywhere, anytime, but part of being an artist is also sharing that work with other people. And so that was very difficult during COVID. So I'm glad we're over that. I'm glad we're back to having gallery shows like this and parties and things like that, because it's very important to me that I'm able to share my work with other people.
And what do you think you are an artist in the society, what is the function of an artist?
I think artists offer some important perspective on the world around us, where we are and where we're going. And I think that artists show everybody else something about the world that they live in that they don't see. You know, I think a good artwork gives somebody a perspective that they didn't have before on the world around them. And I think that's what good art does. That's what I try to do in my work.
Thank you so much for coming to Berlin. You're most welcome, and thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you for the questions. I appreciate it. Jonathan Monaghan. I'm on Instagram, follow me, whatever. Yeah, so thank you.